So coercive controllers weaponize their target's vulnerabilities against them. I call this the double cross. They do this from day one because coercive control is a setup from day one. And they do this by gathering information that they can use against you later. Now, when you're sharing this information, you don't know it's going to be used against you later. You think that you are talking to someone that you're in a healthy relationship with and that you are sharing and you are creating intimacy and you are bonding. You don't know, as the targeted victim, that you are actually the victim of a con. So you might share really intimate, private information with this person. And when you do that, and then they bring that information out and use it in some way as a weapon to harm you, it is an enormous betrayal. So I'm going to give you an example from my life. I shared early on with my coercive controller that I had had a retinal detachment in my left eye, which left me legally blind in that eye. And I, at the time, was a professional photographer. And so my eyes, they're very important to everyone, but they were extremely important to me because I was a professional photographer. And I also indicated that the doctors had told me to be extremely careful because they did not know why my left eye's retina detached. And so normally what can cause a detachment is any kind of jostling of the head, or for instance, they told me not to ride roller coasters because it had a potential to jar and shake my head in a way that I could potentially have a retinal detachment in the other eye, which I obviously didn't want to have. So I made the mistake of sharing this information with my coercive controller, who at the time was my husband, and I had no reason to believe that he would weaponize that information. But then once his coercive control really escalated, once I had realized how dangerous he was and had divorced him and gotten away from him, I thought, he escalated to severe physical violence. And what was his weapon of choice? What did he decide to use? He punched me repeatedly in the face, in the nose, in the forehead, and between my eyes, knowing full well that there was a high risk that I might go blind from that, and that my career as a photographer could potentially be ended, in addition to the fact that I would be blind for the rest of my life. That's what I mean when I say that coercive controllers tailor their abuse and their coercive control to their victim. And they do so in a way so that they terrorize them with that coercive control.